And now, tonight's keynote address. Sanya Richards-Ross is one of the most decorated female Olympians of all time. Born in Kingston, Jamaica in 1985, Sanya moved with her family to Fort Lauderdale at age 12 to realize her promise and her talent. Fortunately for us, her next move was to UT, and she still calls Austin her home. At UT, Sanya began her climb to the top with several NCAA championships in 2003. And the following year, she won Olympic gold as part of the U.S. 400-meter relay team. She earned 2 more medals at the 2008 Games in Beijing. But the wind was not always at Sanya's back. She had to battle back from illness and injury to become the 400-meter indoor world champion in 2012. And then she went to London. She went to London where she won the gold medal in the women's 400 meters at the Summer Olympics, becoming only the second American woman in history to win that race. And she did it. And she did it by overtaking her competition in the race's final 50 meters. Sanya also anchored the victorious 4x400 relay team for the 3rd consecutive time. We'll not soon forget the thrill of those races. Sanya is married to another successful Texas ex, a Texas ex that she met here in college, Aaron Ross. Cornerback with the New York Giants, then the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now again, the New York Giants. Aaron, welcome home. In addition to her demanding schedule of training and competing, Sanya also runs the Sanya Richards Fast Track program to help children in her native Jamaica. It is my honor to welcome a great champion, strong in body, mind, and spirit, Sanya Richards-Ross.
Wow. Wow. Good evening. First, I must say good evening to President Powers. Thank you for that incredible introduction. I also have to mention just how great you are. Every chance I get to interact with President Powers, I see why he is the president of this amazing university. You're just charismatic, smart, kind, humble, and I really appreciate this honor to share with the UT graduating class tonight. To our distinguished guests, faculty, family, and friends, I know tonight is really special for all of you as well. But to the most important people here tonight, the reason we are all gathered, the graduates, the University of Texas's class of 2013. It's your day. It's your day, you did it. You came to the 40 acres, you set your goals, and you've achieved them. The countless hours in the library, group projects where you felt like you did all the work, fighting the urge to go to 6th Street every night, and dropping out and becoming a local bartender in the music capital after your first South by Southwest. No, it was not easy. None of us know exactly what everyone went through tonight, but tonight it does not matter. It's all about this moment. It's all about you. The hard work, the focus, the perseverance, it paid off. You all should be so proud. For me, tonight is reminiscent of when I crossed the finish line first in London. I was so happy, I opened my arms out, I threw my head back, and I yelled, yes. And so even though I know you guys are really close tonight, I think it's only fitting that we share in this moment together, and you guys throw your arms out, toss your head back, and yell, yes! Woo! Awesome. I'm just so thrilled to be sharing this moment with all of you. When I got the call from President Powers, my first thought was, man, I'd never been called to the principal's office in high school or middle school, and now the president of the University of Texas is calling my cell phone. Yeah, this could be either really good or really bad. When I heard his request and that I was the student's pick for the 2013 commencement speech, good choice, I was flattered, humbled, excited, and then I hung up the phone and I thought, wait a minute, I'm gonna be giving the keynote speech to some of the world's greatest minds, because we all know this is where they always come from, right? For sure. And I got a little bit nervous. What would I say? How would I inspire and motivate a group of individuals that are probably already both? But just like every challenge in my life, I'm super excited for this tremendous opportunity. So, although tonight is all about you, we have to admit it's also a little bit about me too. Athletes, we're always trying to steal the spotlight. But seriously, I'd love to share my story tonight in hopes that my struggles and my successes will encourage all of you. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and started running when I was 7. Track and field and soccer are the two most popular sports, so if you were athletic, you did one or the other. Like me, I'm sure there are a few of you here tonight that got an early start at your passion. At 9, my grade school teacher made us write what we'd be when we got older. And at 9, I wrote an Olympic champion. Thank you. My family migrated to the United States when I was 12, and although I dreaded the move as a child, now as an adult, I'm so grateful that my parents had the foresight and the courage to make a move that they believed would benefit our family. Although growing up in Jamaica, we are mostly unaware of American universities, ironically, I always had a strong affinity towards the University of Texas. I'm not sure if subconsciously I saw the horns or if greatness just attracts greatness, but it's honestly the only universe that existed in my world. However, I digress. I had great success in track and field in Jamaica, and it continued when I migrated to South Florida. I dominated in high school and led St. Thomas Aquinas to 4 consecutive state championship titles. My senior year, however, was a pivotal point in my life. After always winning quite easily, I suffered my first injury my junior year and didn't compete as well as I was used to. It was a long summer, and I remember most vividly a ride home with my dad after practice. He turned the music down and he said, "Do you want to be the best?" With a slight attitude, I thought, what a silly question. Of course I wanted to be the best. But his words left a lasting impression on my psyche. It was the first time I internalized that there was a difference between going through the motions, just doing something well, and intentionally doing something great. Being great would take deliberate focus and sacrifice. Being great meant not just using my talent, but investing in it and cultivating it day in and day out. Being great would take all of me, my undivided attention, my will, my desire, my drive, my fortitude. So going into my senior season, I started doing 1,000 sit-ups every day. I ran the stadium stairs before or after practice. I studied film of the great athletes in my event. I rededicated myself to my sport. I wanted to be a champion, so I lived, breathed, and slept track. Aristotle's saying is so true. We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, it's a habit. My hard work paid off immediately. I went on to have one of the greatest seasons in high school history. I broke the national records in the 200 and 400 meter sprints indoors and the national record in the 400 meters outdoors. I was undefeated and named the Gatorade 2002 Prep Athlete of the Year. It was a great year and my first tangible taste of hard work paying off. Simultaneously, while pushing myself to new limits on the track, that drive for excellence flowed off the track into the classroom. I maintained a 4.0 GPA and was a member of the National Honor Society. You see, a perk to striving to be the best in one area is that the desire to be great often spills over into other areas of your life. As the #1 track recruit out of high school, I was fortunate to visit many top universities. But the minute I stepped foot on the 40 acres, I knew this was the place for me. You too. My years here at UT were amazing. Like many of you, I'm sure that this ranks among the best decisions of your life. Where else can you find one of the best business schools? Meet 50,000 new friends, cheer on a national championship football team, and have the mascot with the most swag. Teachers and faculty that are dedicated to raising the bar, and an institution that refuses to settle for anything less than the best. In our weight room, it says, the winning tradition of the Texas Longhorns will not be entrusted to the weak nor the timid. I would dare say that that is not just a slogan used to motivate athletes, but a slogan that truly represents the spirit of all Longhorns. The pride of the burnt orange is real. Yes, I guess other schools are pretty cool too, but nothing compares to the real UT. Burnt orange is our black. It goes with everything. We bleed burnt orange and we're proud. This campus, the people, the city, what a great place to spend 4 years. Well, for most of you. Some of us like it so much, we take our time. While competing for UT in just 2 years, I made my first Olympic team. I was 18 and one of the best 400-meter runners in the world. It was a dream come true, and I was headed to Athens in 2004 with Team USA. I finished 6th in the 400, but won gold on the 4x4 relay. I knew if I focused on track full-time, I could be the absolute best, so I chose to forego my final 2 years of eligibility and chase my dream full-time. I became a professional track and field athlete. I would leave college life and face the real world. I was then where many of you are today. Although I was thoroughly prepared by my experiences here, it would be these years that would challenge my ideals, test my faith, and mold my character. These years would begin to define who I was to become and where I was headed. My professional career started off better than I could have ever imagined. In 2005, I lost only 2 races on the season and was the #1 ranked 400-meter runner. The next season, I would top that. I was undefeated, set a new American record, ranked #1 in my event, won the USA Track and Field Jesse Owens Award, and the IAAF Female Athlete of the Year. For those of you that aren't familiar with the USATF and the IAAF, which I'm assuming is most of you, let's just say I was all that, a bag of chips, some purple Skittles, and a Coke. Good, right. However, there are pros and cons to starting your career off so well. Your expectations become warped. You become either obsessed with perfection, burdened by your own success, or arrogant enough to believe that it will always happen. I was a little of each. I believed I would stay on top of the sport for as long as I wanted, and more medals and records were inevitable. Well, life has a way of keeping us humble. In 2007, I started my training with even greater goals. I was going to lower my American record. I would win the World Athlete of the Year again. I would start running the 200 and dominate that event as well. But I was faced with one of the greatest obstacles of my life. From what seems like out of nowhere, I started having severe mouth ulcers, painful skin lesions, intense joint pains, and extreme fatigue. Here I was, one of the greatest female athletes in the world who had never had any health issues, and now I was having strange symptoms that doctors all over the country was having difficulty diagnosing. I would see 7 different doctors before I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease called Behçet's. It was an unforeseen blow, something I could have never anticipated. The one thing I needed the most to be my best, the thing I needed to push to the limit and be able to count on, was failing me. My body was attacking itself. Fortunately, I'm so blessed to have a great group of people around me, with the core being my family. When I was low or disappointed, they pulled me up. They didn't allow me to give up or think the worst. It's important on our journey to greatness that we encircle ourselves with like-minded, supportive people. People who believe in your vision and will stand by you as you fight for it. It won't always be easy, as it becomes impossible to do it alone when the challenges or obstacles seem insurmountable. In those moments, you will need unwavering friends and family. It's easy to give in when things aren't perfect, but it builds character when you determine to fight. There were days I can remember going to practice and having ulcers so severe I couldn't speak. My dad would give me his notepad and I'd write a message to my coach. Sometimes I'd run with a cup in my mouth to alleviate the pain of my teeth cutting against my ulcers. It was trying, to say the least, but I believed in what I was doing, and it would take a whole lot more than skin lesions and ulcers to stop me from doing what I love to do. I had a full season that year. I didn't win the U.S. National Championships, but I was still #1 ranked in the 400 for the 2007 track season. With my health issues mostly under control, it was time to win my first individual Olympic gold. I was training harder than ever, doing everything right. I started the season off strong, winning every race, and headed into the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games as the hands-down favorite for gold. It was only right. I was #1 ranked for 3 consecutive seasons. I had only lost 4 races in 4 years. This was my time. The night before the race, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned all night, wrestling with a multitude of emotions. I had dreamt of this since I was 9, and I was finally at the precipice of my big moment. On race day, I was so nervous. I had beaten everyone in the field on numerous occasions, but on this day, I couldn't find my usual confidence and peace. I started out strong and came off the final bend with a huge lead. I could see the finish line. Victory was surely mine. Then, in a flash, I remember looking down at the Olympic rings and everything starting to fall apart. I felt a cramp in my hamstring, and the finish line seemed to move further and further away. This wasn't my dream. This was a nightmare. I remember feeling powerless as I felt like everyone rushed past me before the end of the race. I finished 3rd. The one race I wanted to win all my life was the only race I would lose for that season. I was devastated. Yes, I had won the bronze, but it didn't feel much like a victory in the moment. It felt like an epic failure and a huge missed opportunity. Why was this happening? What could I have done differently? It was the lowest point in my career. I couldn't understand then why it happened, but from this vantage point, I'm so grateful it did. You see, in order to achieve greatness, you will experience failure. It's the bitter ingredient in the recipe for success. Without trying and failing, you never get the opportunity to stand in the face of your disappointment, your insecurities, your arrogance, your pride, and say, I'm stronger. When things are great, we rarely stop and take a moment to truly evaluate what we're learning and how we're growing. Failure then becomes imperative to true prosperity. Mary Kay Ash says it like this: when you reach an obstacle, turn it into an opportunity. You have the choice. You can overcome and be a winner, or you can allow it to overcome you and be a loser. The choice is yours and yours alone. Refuse to throw in the towel. Go that extra mile that failure refuses to go. It is far better to be exhausted from success than to be rested from failure. You see, failure is temporary. It's giving up that's permanent. How badly do you want it? Will health issues or failure on the grandest scale stop you? Will you persevere? I believe that every desire we have to do something great is placed in our spirits by God. It's there for a reason. And it's in our chasing that dream that we become the people we only dream of. The next season, I decided I would do things differently. I would continue to work hard. I would still set lofty goals, but I wouldn't allow my desire to be the best to become a burden. If I was going to continue traveling the world doing what I love to do, I was going to enjoy the experience. I was going to start channeling my early years and run solely for the joy of pushing myself to my ultimate limit. Track and field is such a great sport. It's so pure. Even though you compete against 7 other women, you have to compete in your lane, execute your race, and give your best. There is no one to blame, no one to block for you, no one to give you the perfect alley-oop. It's just you. In 2009, I had my best season. I won my first World Outdoor title, was undefeated, and won the Jesse Owens and the IAAF Female Athlete of the Year awards again. I had learned so much from my 2008 experiences, and I was all the better for it. I believed I was on the right track, and all I had to do was parlay this for another 3 years, and I would be the Olympic champion. But once again, I'd face challenges. In 2010, I pulled my quad muscle. It was early in the year. I did everything I could to get back on track, but I was unsuccessful. I was forced to end my season early. I had just gotten married a few months prior, so I quickly found my silver lining. Another reason I knew going to the University of Texas was the best decision of my life was because I met my soulmate here. I met Aaron Ross, a member of the UT 2005 National Championship and Jim Thorpe Award here my freshman year, and we have been inseparable ever since. He's a great guy, been the most supportive husband that I could ever hope for, and he's a Longhorn, so we won't have any fights in our household on where the future little Rosses are gonna go to school. Always planning ahead. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention Vince, one of Ross's teammates and our dear friend. Congratulations, we are so proud of you. But I was in President Power's office last night, and I made him promise he's gonna cover all your pictures up with mine. I'm really, really sorry about that. After taking some time off, I knew I'd be stronger for the 2011 season. Well, I was sadly mistaken. In case you haven't noticed, the ride to success is a roller coaster. It proved to be my worst season of my career. I had physically recovered, but wasn't prepared for the mental residue that an injury and being sidelined for a season left behind. I finished 7th at the World Outdoor Championships that year and ended my season disappointed and doubtful. I had worked hard that year, but I just couldn't get it right. Many times in life, things seem at their worst right before they become their best. Sometimes our pot of gold is one dig away, but we become weary and quit digging just shy of our reward. Going into the next season, I was more determined than ever. I had survived the 4 grueling and unpredictable years between Olympic Games, and this time, I would not be denied. I knew in my heart I was the best, and I was going to give it my all to win the medal I had dreamt of all my life. That season, I started training with the boys to challenge myself to new heights. I regularly visited a sports psychologist to be mentally prepared for the opportunity, and focused on the one weakness in my race, determined to make it my strength. I wouldn't let my desire to please my sponsors, the expectations of others, or the murmurs of naysayers that I wasn't a big meat competitor get to me. No, not this time. This time, I would ignore the noise in the market and set my eyes squarely on my ultimate goal. The season started off well. I competed indoors and won my first world indoor title. My training was better than ever, and I thought I would go outdoors and immediately dominate. Well, I didn't. I lost my first race. Not the picture-perfect start I had anticipated. These were the same women I would need to defeat to win the gold in London, and I became a little concerned that I hadn't fully gotten over my previous season woes, but I refused to let doubt or fear consume me. The very next race, I pulled it together, won big, and never looked back. I went into the Olympic finals as the heavy favorite once again. This time, with all the disappointments and failures behind me, I was ready for the moment. I didn't round the final turn in front, but this time, I didn't look down at those awe-inspiring Olympic rings. I didn't get distracted by the crowd, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the event, slowed by self-doubt. This time, I kept my eyes on the prize. This time, I dug deep and ran into my destiny. It was magical. Winning individual Olympic gold in the 400 meters was everything I had dreamt of and more. It was one of the greatest experiences in my life. It's a feeling I pray that every single one of you in this graduating class will allow yourselves to have by setting lofty goals and going after them with every fiber of your being, not allowing obstacles, failures, or disappointments to stop you. It's then you too will throw your arms out and toss your head back, and you will need no prompting to do so. it will come from within. The funny thing about having success is that you realize that anything is possible if you commit to hard work and perseverance. You realize that the world truly is your oyster. I know that we've all heard this before, but it's so true. It's critical that we all determine to be our best, not only for ourselves, but for each other. One of my favorite quotes, one that I've tweaked a little bit, might have got in trouble in English class for this, but one that I live by says, "Who are you not to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, successful? The better question is, who are you not to be?" There is nothing enlightening about shrinking yourself so that others won't feel inadequate around you. As you let your light shine, as you pursue your goals with passion and love, unconsciously, you give others permission to do the same. As you are liberated from your own fear, so does your presence automatically liberate others. This brings me back to this moment, as I stand here in front of all of you in somewhat uncharted territories for me. Yes, I've put in my 10,000 hours on the track, but nowhere close to that in public speaking to deserve this tremendous honor. One of the things I failed to mention after I received the call from President Powers is that I contemplated getting a speechwriter. I love speaking. I have given quite a few motivational and keynote speeches in the past, but nothing quite like this. Fear and self-doubt reared their ugly heads. I was unsure of myself. Was I really ready? No, I needed a speechwriter. I even phoned my agent and asked him to research the best ones, preferably President Obama's. No, seriously. And then I realized that this was the very essence of what I wanted to leave with all of you tonight. Every opportunity you are given isn't by chance. It's for a reason. And you're equipped with everything you need to do it well. The truth is, whether you succeed or fail, it's designed to make you better and prepare you for what life will throw at you next. Yes, President Obama's speechwriter probably would have prepared a better speech, but I would have missed out on this amazing experience to share my story from my perspective as only I can tell it. There are millions of people on this earth, but there is only one you. What this world needs is your vision, your creativity, your character, your fearlessness, your passion. No, you won't always feel ready for every opportunity, and no, you won't always win. But life is always preparing us for what God has next. Today, after graduating from the greatest university in the world, I challenge you too to write your own speech. Don't allow fear or doubt to make you miss out on your greatest opportunities. As I've made this promise to myself to embrace failures and life's obstacles, as I open myself up to endless possibilities, growth, and successes, I challenge every single one of you tonight to make the same promise. Chart your own path. Live your own dreams. Write your own speech. Hook 'em horns.